You surely know the Dutch for their football, or maybe cricket team, or maybe for their colorful tulip fields, besides some vintage windmills and good beers. However, there is another identity of Netherlands that we did not know. Netherlands is often considered as one of the most popular sex tourism destinations for people around the world. We have known a lot about Brazil and Thailand, about how they earn through sex tourism, and how they are attracting tourists to their countries. But Netherlands is even ahead of them in terms of position and sex tourism. Let's explore this side of Netherlands. An economic overview. Netherlands is one of the most stable economies in Europe. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has caused some massive difficulties for other European countries, whilst in the same time frame Netherlands was having an economic growth of 4.3%. Surprisingly, the growth was nearly 16% during the last quarter of 2022. The growth of their economy is very much related to the tourism sector. And guess what? Their political leaders are aware of this and made prostitution legal across the country. Currently, their decision is bringing practical results, and Netherlands is earning nearly $1 billion through sex tourism. For the 15th largest economy of the world, these $1 billion are almost 5% of the annual GDP alone. That is only the revenue from sex tourism, but the tourists are always spending more money for different costs while visiting the country. Tourists are getting attracted by sex tourism and planning their leisure in Netherlands. However, how did it start? The history of prostitution and sex tourism. It takes us many decades back to the 15th century. It is said that the beginning of prostitution was piled by some women who entered through the harbor of Amsterdam. They were not Dutch, but rather some British and Irish refugees who were struggling to make a living after sailing to the harbor of Amsterdam. Although they were the initiator of sex work and prostitution, the local women started to get involved as well because of the opportunity of earning good money. Although the beginning of prostitution was not that hard, it faced difficulties during the time of the 16th century. It was the reign and governance of Spanish rulers and their influence in that place that made people believe that it is an active scene and should not be tolerated. Going through the hassles of society, politics, and government, it took some decades for the sex tourism industry of this country to get into a stable position. It was said that by the time of the 19th century, people started to understand the freedom and independence of individuals, and since then the industry did not have to struggle anymore. Currently, the tourist attraction is the capital of the Dutch, which is one of the biggest red light areas of the world, the Amsterdam Red Light District. De Wallen is the biggest red light district of Amsterdam, and it is inside the most ancient part of the city. It is said that the canals and river banks in the city were a key reason behind its establishment as a red light district. This city was the center point for European merchants for many centuries. The district is a network of alleys with nearly 300 one-roomed cabins hired for prostitution services. There are nearly 500 sex workers that are working in this red light area and earning their living. Population-wise, this city is not that crowded, and only the local people permanently live here. However, an enormous amount of tourists visit this place every year. Nearly 17.5 million tourists visit De Wallen every year, contributing a lot to the earnings of the Dutch government. According to travel agencies and government reports, most of the tourists that visit Amsterdam come for the red light district De Wallen. Besides De Wallen, the hotels, motels, and lodges are also very open about sex tourism. The demand for sex tourism is so high in Amsterdam that some local residents have complained about over-tourism in the year 2019, as nearly 19 million people visited Amsterdam that year, making it the biggest sex tourism industry in the world. The future of sex tourism in Netherlands. The government is not very concerned about the bad sides of such tourism, rather they are focusing on its economic benefits of it. It is a key reason behind the spread of sex tourism beyond the red light districts of Amsterdam. It is even getting more available in other parts of Amsterdam and other districts. The mayor of Amsterdam, Femke Halsema, is even thinking of reshaping the red light district of the Amsterdam. The plan is to change the location of De Wallen and place it somewhere quieter nearby. The government of the country understands the importance of sex tourism and also understands how it is bringing more travelers to the country. The total revenue from tourism in Netherlands is nearly $24 million, and with more tourists, this revenue can exceed even further. Ethical and religious perspectives might discourage the concept of sex tourism. However, the current world is getting more involved with such fantasies and experiences in tourism. During this post-pandemic phase and economic downfall of the last year through Russia-Ukraine war, such economical advantage through sex tourism cannot be declined, and that is what the Dutch are doing.